Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session, part of my self-love series. Today we have a treat for you. We have a phenomenal woman who is joining us today, and she's going to be talking about self-love. We're going to continue this conversation. So, we all know we talk about self-love as our superpower. You know the drill. Look after yourself, take care of yourself. You know, hello. We all talk. Hello, welcome. So we all know the drill. Hello. We all know the drill. We tell ourselves to look after ourselves, be kind to ourselves.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we say all these things.
I'm trying to share it on my page.
Oh, you're trying to share it on your page. But we all know that sometimes we do nothing about it. So the real question for everyone that's watching tonight is this: do you really love yourself? I'm not talking about do you buy yourself the latest bag, do you go to the spa, but do you truly love yourself? So I just want to welcome today this phenomenal woman, Aisha Yesufu. I love her. I love her courage, and I even love her more because she's doing a series on her page about self-love. And so I've invited her today to talk about self-love and activism. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of introduction, just a bit. We all know her. She's known globally, but I just want to give you an introduction. So Aisha Yesufu is a Nigerian social political activist and active Nigerian citizen who demands for good governance, accountability, and transparency. She's unapologetic about her stance in fighting for justice and equity. She is a businesswoman who teaches financial literacy to empower people to be financially independent and also have a voice to demand for good governance. She's a member of the Bring Back Our Girls movement that have been advocating for the rescue of schoolgirls that were abducted from the school in 2014. Aisha Yesufu was part of the NSAS protest that took place in Nigeria, which were aimed at putting an end to police brutality. She was also named one of BBC 100 Women 2020 list and a list of 100 inspiring and influential women from around the world for 2020. Welcome. I'm honored to have you. So today we're going to be talking about self-love and activism. So we're going to start by me quoting it's actually a quote that I read, and it's by Audre Lorde, who is an American writer and a feminist and a civil rights activist. She says, caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. So over to you. Can you tell us a little bit about your self-love journey? Sorry, I'm sweating.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for inviting me and having me here. It's a pleasure being here. So for me, if I look back and say, okay, when did I discover what self-love was all about? I think it's from when I was like a teenager.
Right.
I went through sort of like a teenage years where I was practically more or less like alone. I'm the firstborn, there was the generation, our parents' generation did not really understand what having children was even all about. That was what you got married, you had children, whether you wanted or you didn't want, you didn't even have a choice of the person you got married to, you just got married. Sometimes there were resentments, and these resentments were passed on to the children, and a whole lot of things, going on. So I have a situation whereby I was very vocal. So I wasn't like the usual kind of children that were good children. I was one of those who were called the stubborn children. And I got into trouble a lot. And there were many times where I was into trouble with my parents. They probably weren't talking to me, or they were angry at me. And so I found myself alone most of the time. And in this period of being alone, ages from like 11, 12, 13, 14, I went through what a lot of people, even in their 40s, don't go through. This self-awareness, finding out who I was, just getting in tune with who I was and being okay with the being that I was. I think for me, that's where my self-love journey started. And I was this person who, for me, I love myself. I'm unapologetic. I don't even care whether you like me or you don't like me. I have enough love for myself. And I was okay with being alone. So I didn't need validation from anybody. I didn't need sort of like adults telling me, oh, you're a good child. For some weird reasons, I was actually okay with not being liked by adults. So I was able to live my life, having expectations of myself only, and not living it up to anybody's expectations but mine, and doing what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, and when I wanted to do it. And so it was like a bit, for some people might have looked at it as something of lonely, but for me, I had my books, I had time to myself, I had time to dream, and I was just okay with having this relationship with myself and just being in love with myself and just being okay with myself. So I'm this one person, even today, you know, I can be very I can be an extrovert, extreme extrovert. I mean, I make noise, I play, I laugh, I move, and then I'm very okay with being on my own and not having to talk to anybody. I'm just curling up in the room, please. I don't even want to anybody. Just let me be. For me, each extreme, it's quite okay. That's why, well, for example, when the lockdown happened, I really didn't feel anything, but most of the time I spend it at home anyway. I really don't have time, you know, going out and everything. And so it's for me, I think it's just about, first of all, discovering who you are. So it's very important for one to ask that question, who am I? When you find out who you are, who you really are, accept yourself for who you are. For me, I say to people, when people get so angry at what other people have said about them, or whether it's about their choices or their looks or whatever it is, I look at it from the fact that those people have not really accepted themselves 100%. Because if they do accept themselves for who they are, then it wouldn't matter whatever is it that any other person is saying about who they are, whether it's their looks or their choices or whatever it is.
Fantastic. I totally agree with you. And, you know, it takes me to the next question, because we talk about activism and you are on the front line, you know, getting different kind of opinions about yourself, even in the media, all kinds of things are written about you. So why do activism and self-love matter? Why is it even more important to love yourself? Because if you don't, you can easily crumble based on people's opinions. So why is it important for activists to understand the importance of self-love?
One of the things is that, for example, as an activist, though I prefer to call myself an active Nigerian citizen. So it's still the same thing. I'm one person I'm just this kind of person who I don't like labels. So maybe it's even probably have to do with the same self-love. So I'm like, okay, don't call me an activist, because the next thing you're going to be telling me that, oh, activists are supposed to behave in this manner. Why are you not? No. I want to be me. So I grew up, even on my social media, if you go to my Twitter page, you see where I say, I don't do labels. I don't want to be put in because what I found out is that they put you labeling, sort of like puts you in this box of expectation, and then you're not supposed to do anything outside of that box. And then you see somebody saying to you, oh, I thought you were an activist, so why are you doing this? So that's the reason why, for me personally, I'm not somebody who does label. But coming to the question, the reason why as an activist, you really need to have a relationship with yourself. You really need to find yourself. You really need to know what your values are. You really should not be dependent on people's validation. It's because of the fact that you're going to be fighting for something that you believe in. And if you want to be in a situation whereby you don't have enough love for yourself, nature abhors vacuum, right? So the kind of love that you will not be seeking for love from other people. And then because you're seeking for love from other people, you'll be seeking for validation. And so you want to do things that will please them. And you end up moving this way and moving that way. There are people that you see them, you never know where they stand. They always want the crowd to love them. I personally, I say, I'm not interested in being loved by the crowd. I'm not interested in somebody liking me. I'm interested in the fact, like I say to some people, say, hey, look, I'm not on your side. I'm not even on my own side. I just want to be on the side of the truth. That's it. If this where the truth is not where I am, then I'm going to be hard on myself too. And so that's the reason for me personally. If you see where people go, on one hand, people will say Aisha is anti this. On the other hand, others will say she's pro the same thing. She's anti this thing. She's pro that. I'm like, look, I don't even have any this thing for any. But I'm going to, whatever it is I see you're doing wrong or whatever it is that is happening wrong, I will state my opinion. I will talk about it. But it doesn't mean that I'm for or against you. Like, I'm not for or against even myself. For me, I just believe that it's all about focusing on what the truth is. And so it's very important for activists to realize that self-love, know what their values are, because it's not a path that is easy to take. It's actually very difficult, especially in this part of the world where people have been treated so badly that they are suspicious of anybody treating them in a good manner. So when they see somebody coming out and fighting for, so it's like, okay, come, what is even in it for you? Why are you doing this? So they will come after you and do all sorts of things just to get at you. So for example, if it's Nigeria, so Nigerians are in an abusive relationship with their leaders. And so anybody that is trying to take them out of that abusive relationship, they're going to come after you. Just like even human people, when they're in an abusive relationship and you're trying to give that helping hand, they come after you and sort of like, they try to destroy you, try to malign you, try to denigrate you, anything they can have to throw at you. And then there are people who, for them, they have been unable to say anything. Either they do not have the moral justification to be able to speak on certain issues, or they're afraid, or one thing or the other. And they would rather bring you down in a way that they denigrate what you're doing, so that they'll be able to say, oh, the reason why we didn't do this is because, oh, after all, that activism is not the right one. They are doing it for money. They are doing it for clout. They are doing it to get position. They are doing it to get political, whatever, attention. There's always something that they want to put to it because they haven't done it. And if they accept that you're actually doing something right, then it will behold on them to say, okay, why haven't they done something about it? So by then bringing people who are doing it down, then they're able to get away with it. I say, okay, please don't mind them. So it's very important for that self-love, for activists to be able to find themselves, know themselves, believe in themselves, stand for themselves, and just go on. If you check my email, the signature on my email, I said, for me, I will fight for Nigeria, and I will not give up on Nigeria no matter what it throws at me. I'm not fighting the Nigerians that we have today. They can fight for themselves. I'm fighting for the generation unborn. The same way I wish others had fought for me before I was born. So for me, even if somebody is coming here to insult me, abuse me, and say all sorts of things, hello, I don't care. I'm not even fighting for you in the first place. I'm fighting for the people that have not yet been born, because I needed to come and meet a good country, not a messed up country.
Oh, wow. I totally support that. And that brings me to this question of self-love and how we can integrate it into our curriculum, into the educational system, because it has to start from somewhere. The foundation has to be laid from somewhere. Accepting bad governance it's a reflection of how we feel about ourselves. Because if we don't love ourselves and we don't think like we deserve the best, then we will accept whatever is being thrown at us. So how, when you look at the young generation now, how can we begin to change the narratives? And I know people say it starts from home, that parents need to start teaching their children about accepting themselves and loving themselves. But if you have a generation that haven't had that before, they don't know how to give it to their children. How can we begin to inject that into the system? You know, you're talking about it on your show and people are listening to you. How can we begin to spread that message of self-love?
Oh, okay. So for me, to spread that message of self-love, I think one of the things that we need to be non-judgmental and to be able to accept people for who they are. And to know that people have a right to their choices, even if those choices are not in agreement with our beliefs. And to know that, and to know very much that as human beings, we are all equal to one another, and we have a right to our choices. And the way you respect yourself and believe in your own choices is the way you should respect another person. I think for me, that's one of the ways that we can go about it. I wear the hijab, and I have every right to wear the hijab. And no matter how anybody tries to denigrate me or insult me or hate it, and for me, I even believe that somebody has a right to hate the fact that I wear the hijab. But what they do not have the right is to stop me from wearing the hijab. And so for me also, my belief is that for somebody who wants to wear mini or not wear anything at all, they have a right to do that.
Yeah.
And it's their right to do that. And that right is enshrined. So as long as we are non-judgmental and we accept people for who they are, that's a beginning. It comes from the house, from the home also, is to be deliberate. I have children. My youngest child is going to be 20 in December. She's 19. And I treat her like an adult. I respect her. And she doesn't have to respect me if she doesn't believe that I've earned that respect. I've said to my children, because I'm your parent, doesn't make it mandatory for you to respect me. I have to be one who is worthy of your respect, because I wouldn't want, when all of those things, there were so many things for me in my own upbringing that I felt I didn't like. And as soon as I had children, I changed that. And I hope my children also, there will be some part of their upbringing that they didn't like, that I did wrong in one way or the other. And I hope if they decide to have children, which is their choice, by the way, I'm not one of those parents that's going to go after, oh, you have to get married, I need grandchildren. If you need grandchildren, go and adopt. I'm not putting any pressure on my children. It's their personal business, what they want to decide or not.
Exactly.
And I hope they, in their own way, to when they have children, if they want to have children, they will correct some of the things that I have done wrong. And so in that way, we continue to make the world a better place. So it's about being deliberate to know that. For me, I will say, I don't own my children. I was lucky enough to have them come through me. So I'm not one to say, oh, they must go through they must do things my way, or they must behave in a certain manner. So for every of my children, I say to them, whatever you believe in is valid. Whatever you do is valid. Whoever you are, it is valid. And that's the way it is. I have a child who is dyslexic. I have a child who is genius. I don't go about, denigrating one or the other because one brings in perfect results, one doesn't bring it back. No, that's who you are. Accept who you are. And I brought up my son who is dyslexic to own his dyslexia. I said, that's the way you're created. You're created to think differently. You don't think the way we think. And that's perfectly okay. And never be ashamed of it. And speak about it, talk about it. That is who you are. It's like being tall, short, fair, dark, whatever it is. That's who you are. And so it's giving that room, being non-judgmental, giving them room to excel, accepting them for who they are. Don't most parents, I see, try to live their lives through their children, and then begin to form one thing or the other. You want your child to do this, you want them to behave in certain manner. No. And most importantly also is the fact that so many, from the parental point of view now, so many parents are interested in the aesthetics, in how the world perceives their children, rather than how happy their children are. I don't care the way you see my children. I don't care whether you think they are the right or they are not. No, what I care about is their whole being. It's knowing that they're happy, they have self-love, they are okay with who they are, they are people with integrity, they are respectful to other people's choices, not necessarily respectful to me. Because my child is not going to meet you today, although they say I shouldn't be calling them children, they are adults now. They're not going to see you today and you expect that they're going to kneel down and greet you. I didn't bring them up to kneel down and greet you. Let me just share a bit of an experience here. Sometimes when my daughter was around 5 years of age, 5 years, one of my aunties asked her to bring water for her. And she brought in brought in the water and, gave it to her. And she was like, oh, why are you not kneeling down? And so I looked up to my auntie and I said, no, I didn't bring her up to kneel down. Yes, it was what was done to us as kids. In my own culture, the way I was brought up, when you give an elder water, you give the elder and you stay kneeling until they finish drinking the water. I didn't bring up my child that way. Islam does not even allow you to kneel down for anybody. It's actually against the religion for you to kneel down, whoever, whether father, whether parent, it's only to God that you kneel down. And so I said, I didn't, for me, and I said to her, this is the way I brought my own kids up. You guys brought us up the way you wanted to bring us up. So now it's my own turn to bring up my children the way I want to bring them up. Also, in terms of school, I think it's the same thing of allowing people be, understanding from that level that everybody has his or her own way of doing things, and it should be accepted. It's not as if, oh, what, it has to be one way or the other. When you're reading, you're learning, you have to learn in certain way. If you don't learn in certain way, you're denigrated, you're spoken, they talk to you anyhow. Just talking about my son, who is dyslexic, who had to my son had to leave Nigeria at the age of 14 because there was nowhere where he was, his educational needs were being catered for. And so he went to England at the age of 14. But growing up in Nigeria and being in school, he went through a lot in terms of school, being called all sorts of names, Olodo, you can't do anything, you're a dollar, being kept away from other activities. Amazing. And this is someone who has amazing capacity to do a lot of things, but those things were denied him because he wasn't very good academically. And so for me, these are one of the things, that really do affect people. And he had to even do a year when he was 13. Yeah, he had to do a year of therapy with a therapist. He had to do that and get his self-esteem, his self-worth back on, because most times it's at these places that all of everything is shattered down, and the child just grew up into somebody who is insecure, who doesn't know that they are worth it, because they've been brought up all their life being told that they aren't worth it. When my son went to England, he finished his secondary school. By the time he got to his A-levels, he was doing art, media studies, and photography. And I remember one time a cousin of mine, she came and she was talking to me, and we were talking like, oh, what's your son doing? And my son told her like, oh, art, media studies, and photography. And you're like, oh, and your parents are wasting so much money over there. I was coming, I said, excuse me? Did I tell you who says I'm not wasting money? That's what he wants to read, and that's what he's going to read. And he's going to excel at that. Tomorrow, probably, I'll be there going ahead to receive the Golden Globe with him, or the Oscars, or whatever. I mean, just let him be. But you see, this is the kind of attitude that makes somebody, and when all of these things are being deposited in your soul and your body and your mind to say you're not worth it, you're not worth it, you're not worth it, because you're not fitting into a certain picture that they want to see, it becomes very hard. So everyone, we need to be deliberate. We need to defend our children where people try to step on their list. For my cousin got it, knew that was a boundary she must never ever cross. For me, it wasn't a waste of money that my son was doing this in his A-levels. And today he's in his final year. He's reading filmmaking, television, and digital media production. He's doing something that he loves, and that's all that matters.
Wow, fantastic. From a person who also has dyslexia, and I grew up in the Nigerian system. My first son has dyslexia. I grew up in the Nigerian system up until the age of 8. And I will tell you that it was challenging. My parents had to bring me into the country at the age of 8. And there is a significant difference.
Yeah.
There is a big difference. So I totally applaud you for doing that for him. Fantastic. So I wanted to ask you this question because I watched your video about your self-love series, and I wanted to ask you what motivates you to start doing that. What motivated you to say, you know what, I want to start talking about this? I know you've talking about various things. I just wanted to know, what were you thinking about when you wanted to start this?
So one of the things for me that I have in my life is that I see my life as a teaching moment for others. So my growing up was very lonely, and I had to learn everything the hard way. I have to see things. So I did, and either learning from experiences, people around me, or learning from books and all of that. And I felt I would always make my life in such a way that let it be like a teachable moment for people that want to learn. And that's the reason why when I see people trying to make certain things secrets, don't talk about this, I'm like, no, no, no. I'm one person who is ready to talk about, because I want some, even if it's one person. And I've always lived this life where I just feel that even if we're meeting for just a few seconds, if I'm able to motivate you in one way or the other, I feel good. So it's always like my endless way of doing things. If I see one thing or the other, it's an opportunity for me to just share part of what I know. And in sharing, I am reteaching myself and reminding myself of the things that I need to do. And so I find that a lot of people, especially, people on social media. So when I see a lot of people who get swayed by what other people see, you see adults in their 50s, people in their 60s are saying to you, oh, I'm afraid, sometimes I'm afraid to make comments on social media because people will come and attack me. I'm like, are you serious? At 70, 60, you still care what people think? As in moi, what will somebody say that will make me, oh, you say I'm ugly? People, did I look like I came to this world to do a beauty pageant? I didn't come to this world to, oh, I have a big mouth. Of course, that's the more reason why you're hearing me loud and clear. For those who will say, oh, you are ugly, before, uncle, am I here to be in the... So, and you see, actually, people who are refusing to do certain things because they are afraid of what other people will say. And so that's the reason why I started all of that love and money talk. And then I see people who are, struggling financially, people who think that, oh, you have to hammer before you're able to make money. And I teach financial literacy. I knew for me what it was, having to learn all of these things. And I feel in any way that somebody, even if it's one person that gets to learn something from me, please use my life as a book that you can learn from my mistakes and do better and be better. For me, that's actually what has been the things motivating me all my life. That's the way. If I have know of something, I'm ready to share it. Even in school, oh, do you know this? I'm ready to share it, because for me, that's the way I feel I've really learned something. It doesn't make sense if I know it and I've not been able to share it in such a way that the person I'm sharing it with actually gets it more than me and does better. For example, I see people who come, oh, Aisha, we love to be like you. I said, no, if you are like me, I have failed. I want you to be greater than I am. That means I'll be able to instill in you something that will make you even greater than I am. So for me, that's just the main motivation that comes from it. It's just seeing people, and just like if only people will understand. Stop seeking for validation. The first person you need to seek values, and only person, is yourself. And the day you're able to find yourself, you would have freed yourself from a lot of things. And then you can be able to do things and actually achieve so many things without actually caring what other people think. They have a right to think what they think, as long as they are not borrowing your brain or any part of you to do the thinking. They are all free to do that.
Fantastic. Someone said, please give us time for questions. If you want to ask any questions, you can put it in the comment box. I will read it out and she can answer it. Yeah, if you have any questions, just put it in the box and I will ask. Yeah, so I wanted
to... let me just ask you a question a bit. I was trying to get the link to this and share it on my other social. I don't know. Instagram doesn't allow that.
I don't know. I think when you go live. Oh, what are you trying to share it on Facebook or somewhere else?
Yeah, because I put it on Facebook and Twitter and say, okay, I'm live on your show. They can come join or something.
I'm not. I think you will have to do it on another device. But what I will do for you is I'm going to download this.
Yes, I have another device here, so that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, so that's what I was thinking I could do.
Yeah, usually should be able to do that. I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you. I have not tried it. I've not tried it before.
Okay. Yeah. So you say I can't find the. I'm trying to.
Yeah. If anyone knows how to go live on Facebook.
Okay, so let me just leave it.
Okay. Yeah. If anyone. Okay. Somebody says, how do you learn this clear difference between outsiders correcting a child's wrongdoing and indulging indulging the child. Some parents get it wrong, thereby indulging their kids' bad behavior.
Fantastic question.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the biggest problems that has happened. It's just happening in this part of the world as of this moment. With in the other part, like in the West, it happened with the millennials from 84, right? Those are the ones that are called the millennials and everything, where you got to a period where children weren't, this affirmation, positive affirmation was just given out anyhow. Oh, don't let the child feel bad. Do everything to make the child happy. Even when the child hasn't done the right thing, just make them feel good about themselves. Feeling good about yourself and loving yourself are two different things. And I think we must understand that. For me, it's about tough love. You love your child, but your child needs to know that, look, this is life. And life isn't going to be kind on your silliness or your mistakes or whatever. Loving your child also involves tough love, where you're letting them know where they've done wrong, and they must know that there's consequences for every behavior. Let me share an experience with you. Years back, I think around 2014 or 2013, I in the gym, there was this friend of mine, gym mate, rather, let me put it that way. And so one of our gym partners, her child was having a birthday, and so we all went there, and they shared like gifts, you know, this party favors that they give out. And so one of them, there was a toy for the kids. So this woman had a 2-year-old who had broken the toy from the party favor, and then she came to the person who was doing birthday, and she was asking her whether she had a replacement for her to give to her child. And I said to her, that's not the right thing to do, because in doing that, you're teaching this child, if you're sending a very wrong signal to this child. Because in future, when this child grows, you're not going to I think it was a toy car. I said, you're not going to total a real car and then you walk into a car shop and you change it. No, life doesn't go like that. So you as a parent, it's mandatory on you to let your child know that there are consequences for every behavior. For example, I would say to my child, don't touch this thing. If you touch it, it's going to burn your hands, and that's it. The next time I see my child going towards it, I'll be looking. Make sure there are no major things that will be this thing. By the time the child touches it, they will know that it actually burns. And so the child learns from it. I brought up my children not with the instruction kind of things where you say, oh, you must do this, you must not do that. I let them know this is it. This is the consequences of doing this or not doing it. This is what it will amount to. At the end of the day, I give them the information and allow them make an informed decision. So in that way, they grew into teenagers who were not just waiting for their parents to say, do this, don't do that, do this, don't do that. But they could know that, okay, these are the things, these are the information. How do I make this decision? So when it came to peer pressure, they already knew how to form their own decision. Not the ones that are used to parents giving them orders. Because a lot of people are brought up being given orders. Giving them orders. And so when they grew up, they didn't know how to look at the information and make an informed decision. And so they now allow peers. So the peer pressure is now on them. They now allow peers to be the one to control. So for me, I did that. So there's a difference between just, I said to people, bringing up children is not all about ice cream and chocolate. Oh, the child will do anything, get away with it. No. Whatever action it is, there is a consequence for it. And so parents must understand that. Otherwise, you bring up children into adulthood who feel entitled to being told that they are wonderful, even when they are not doing wonderfully. Accepting you for who you are is different from accepting your, how do I put it now, your obnoxious behavior. Those are two different things. The world isn't going to accept your obnoxious behavior, so it needs to be corrected. It needs to be seen that this is what it is for what it is. And there's something I always say, there is a university of hard knocks. It's the university of life. Whether you like it or not, your children will go through it. So all these are there. No. My daughter, just another example, my daughter was, so she left Nigeria at the age of 15. She went to UK. for her A-levels. And then when she was done, I think she was around 17, yeah, when she finished her A-levels and she got admission into university. And so at one particular time, I noticed that, okay, my daughter, it's like, babe, it's like you are becoming, you know, thinking that that's where you're from and sort of like behaving in a way I didn't understand. And I needed her to see a different side of life because she wasn't used to. My daughter, yeah, and I was born at Jekpakwa. I grew up poor. Yeah, but my kids, they are privileged. Honestly, they don't know any of this thing. So I needed her to see another side of life. And I simply took her to a village to spend 1 month. And I said to her, she came, I'm like, you're going, she was like, you're going there to spend that month or you're coming back to Nigeria and spend this time to school here. Otherwise, you're going there, you're going to see that 1 month. And she stayed. She stayed in a place where she had to use, you know, iron. There was no electric iron. She had to use this charcoal iron. She had to pound. There was no microwave, no blender, no nothing. She had to pound. She had to do things. She had to wash clothes. No washing machine, no laundry man that was going to iron your clothes. None of that. She learned that she had to do that and sort of like research her to know that this is what life is all about. It's the fact that you're privileged. Don't take it for granted. I mean, nobody knows what tomorrow can be. I was once privileged before my father did everything at the age of 10. So there is a difference between spoiling your child, and a lot of parents are doing that. And I say to parents, if you're bringing up your child, you must look at that child and be able to say, is this child going to survive with or without me? Without me, how would this child fare? If you're not bringing up your child to survive without you, then you haven't been a good parent. You need to look at it. So there's a difference between spoiling our children, like what is happening now. Oh, don't talk to them. Some people will not even want to. You should not talk to their children. Some they'll follow their kids to the school, insult teachers, do us. That's not self-love. That's destruction. You're actually destroying that child because you're not teaching your child to learn that there are consequences for bad behavior. There are consequences for whatever it is that you do, and that the world will not smile at you when you've not done the right thing. The world will tell you when you have not done the right thing. And I think the most important thing we should do as parents is to actually be honest with our children, honest with what, and you know, whatever it is, that honesty is something that is very important, so that when they know that when you say something to them, they know that it is the way it is. And just, this might not be part of the question that I've been asked, but I just felt like, since I've talked a bit of upbringing, let me put it here. Be the parent that is dependable for your children. Don't say one thing and do another thing. Do things honorably with integrity. If I say to my child, I'm going to do this thing, no matter what it is. There was a time one of my children asked me to buy something for her. I think I forgot until I came to the gate. I remember, oh my goodness. From there, I turned back and I drove back like 30 minutes to go and get that because I had given her my words that was coming. All this issue of those era where I hated it as a child when I see parents who tell their children to go and bring shoe and then they will run away. I felt that was the most cruel thing you can do to a child. And there's no, hello, is it that? Sorry about that. That's my husband, he just came in. So, and I felt you don't do that to a child. So the child will not know how to depend on you and they'll be used to, oh, anybody can say something and break promises to them. That's not a good thing to do to children.
Oh,
can I just be with you for a moment? Let me just go and hug my husband and come back.
Please. Okay, go on. Give him a hug. A big one from us.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we've got question. I'm going to ask the next question. I think it's from Ibrahim Morocco. You're next. So I'm going to ask your question next. Are you enjoying this? Okay. If you're enjoying this in the comment section. Oh, fantastic. Well,
okay, so I'm back. So let me just tell you a bit of the self-love also that happened.
Yes.
So right now, so my husband just came in now. So of course I've hugged him and everything. And guess what?
What?
Because he didn't come in early. Dinner is cold. So they need to go and warm. They need to go and warm the food. But who is doing it? There's a chef. So they call the chef and do it. It's part of self-love. You don't have to. So you see, you know, this issue of feeling that, oh, I'm a woman, African woman, I must do it. No, as soon as you come, I wasn't the one that did the cooking. There's a chef down who has done the cooking. Now they need to warn me. He go and do all of that. And then guess what? When my husband is coming, I said, Dad, I love you. I'm fucking you. But if I was tired and I've done all the work, it's probably because I'm grumpy. I'm like, welcome. Is it now you are coming? I'm finished cooking since you did not cook it. So it's also part of self-love. Don't carry suffering.
It is. You can't kill yourself.
Because we were brought up and told that, oh, you have to be doing the hard work if you don't.
Exactly.
My mom said to me, oh, which man is going to marry you because you don't like housework, you don't like this, you don't like that. I'm like, yeah, there are people that will do it, there are machines. So please, it's all part of self-love. And at the end of the day, you're able to give more love in your relationship.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, so we've got Ibrahim Morocco. He says, Aisha, what is your biggest... Yeah, he said, Aisha, what is your biggest fear and what motivates you to do what you're doing? With love, Ibrahim Morocco.
Ibrahim Morocco is like my brother. I love Ibrahim. Well done. So for me, when you talk about fear, what's my biggest fear? So let me come in a way. When I was around 11, my father lost everything financially.
Yeah.
And life went from me having a kind of middle class kind of life to crashing and having nothing. And from that moment, I learned not to be attached to anything, even life itself. I'm not attached to life. I wake up in the morning, you see, as I'm speaking to you right now, this is all I have. I'm living it to the full. I'm enjoying it to the highest moment. After that, whatever, I don't. So in a way, so it's like a question. I'm trying to look at, okay, what is that thing that I fear? My biggest fear. Honestly, other than, I think my biggest fear is not about this world. It's about the hereafter. It's about not entering, after all this, not getting to enter into paradise. So I will tell you that's my fear. But when it comes to worldly things in this world, I think I've done away with all of that. So I look at things and I look at what's the worst case scenario that will happen. I see some people who are like, oh, don't talk about your relationship. What if it's, I'm like, please, if it ends, we go on to a bigger and better one. If today I don't have the money, everything goes down, we will live life and be happy. I don't mind. I can put pure water on my head and I will sell it. And then, okay, I think apart from that, maybe the other fear sometimes I hold a bit is the fact that let me not get into a place where we are not able to pay our children's school fees and they can't go to school.
Yeah.
Where we are. I think there's a bit of that. And I think that actually came to me in 2017 when we had that recession in Nigeria. And pounds went up and, the value of Naira went down. And I'm thinking, okay, what if today everything crashes and you're unable to pay? So there's a bit of that one. But other than that, this life is too... For me, we're all going to die anyway. So for me, the fear is not here. It's in the hereafter.
It's the hereafter.
For me, yes, knowing that, let me know that I've done the things that I'm supposed to do. So that's the fear that I know. Dying. Okay, for those who are Muslims, they will understand what I say. Chikawa the Imani. Let me speak Hausa. I speak 3 different languages. So sometimes some things are... So dying in faith, dying as a Muslim that is forgiven by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for me, that's my ultimate goal. And for me, that's the fear I carry. What if I die at this moment and it is not in faith? It is not with the forgiveness from God. That's the biggest fear that I carry in my life. And therefore, what motivates me?
Yeah.
I just want to... I think I'm motivated by my childhood and living that life. One of the things that I didn't like about growing up was that I was so dependent on people's decision. As a child, I didn't have control. I'm actually a control freak. I must tell you that. So not having control of my life as a child was one of my toughest moments. And I couldn't wait to be 25. I couldn't wait to be an adult. And today when I see people talking about the fact that, oh, adulting is a scam, they want to go back to their childhood, I'm like, me? Never. I love what I'm having now. I love the fact that I have control over my life. I love the fact that I'm the one who is calling the shot, good or bad. And I'm not somebody that allows myself to be weighed down by anything. Tragedies happen, whatever. I just look at it. Well, that's life. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're sad. And I'm one person who lives life to the fullest. I mean,
Yes.
honestly, as we're talking right now, if there's something that makes me sad, I don't mind. I will break down. I will cry, and that's it. And I will move on. So I don't hold things in. That's why even when people come at me, I give them back on equal measure, and then I move on. I free myself. I don't believe in if they go low, you go high. Nah, if they go low, you go lower. Deal with them there. Then you come up, shower, and let them know that it's a choice not to stay down there with them.
I love that. I
I'm
love that.
crazy.
We need to put that in a quote, right? We need to quote that. Yeah, somebody asked the question, Titi Lalami asked the question, said, as being so vocal cost you some personal relationship? And if so, how do you deal with that?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, being vocal, it got me into lots. First of all, even as a child, got me into lots of trouble. Beatings, you know. And you know, sometimes I look back now, I'm like, my parents, they really tried, because I was that child that was just, and in a way, I'm a child that you could understand. All I want from you is explain to me why I need to do this. Don't just tell me to do it, right? And so, even so, and a way it molded me. For example, there were many times in my life as a child where my parents would be angry with me. They wouldn't talk to me. And I just felt, well, that's one of those things. It's okay. And for example, if I go in the morning, you know, every morning you're supposed to wake up, you go and kneel down before your parents, and then you greet them, right? And so sometimes I'll go and I kneel down before my dad, and then I'll greet him, and he wouldn't answer. I normally don't mind, because I've done my part, right? Which is to greet you. You answering is not in my control. It's in your control, and it's your right whether you want to answer or not answer. Do you get? So even as a child, so I will do that, and I will move on. So that for me, sort of like, I built who I am. So even today, oh, you're not doing something with me. Well, it's your own choice, because I would do the things that I need to do. And when I do the things that I'm supposed to do, I don't feel any guilt. I feel I've done the right thing. Because some of these things were, for example, let me give you an example. Like, there was a time that my father had accused me of something, and I didn't do it. And I said to my father, I didn't do it. He didn't believe. After a while, we found out that it was another cousin. I didn't remember what it was, one of these minor things. It was another cousin that did it. And so I said to my dad, you know, you need to apologize to me, because you wronged me by actually falsely accusing me. If we were sitting down with some of my aunties and my mom, and then, oh, apparently it was an abomination in our culture for a child to say that the father had wronged her, which up to today, I don't see why that should be. If I wrong my children, I apologize to them. I own up to what I've done. And so it was like, oh no, my father was angry. He wasn't speaking to me. And then they asked me to go apologize. And I'm like, I didn't do anything wrong. He's supposed to actually be the one. But at the end of the day, what I did, okay, so I went to wash my dad's clothes. And so that was how we sort of like settled. And myself and my dad were quite close. And we have the same kind of spirit. We are very vocal kind of people. And I like to argue with him. We will argue. And one of the things I'll always give to my dad is that whenever I have superior argument, he always listens to that. But all of these cultural things. Another moment that I would think about, for example, there was a time in 1997, there was this guy that, with the same place I saw my husband, I fell in love with my husband first sight. He didn't even know I existed. So there was another guy who saw me and wanted to go out with me. And, you know, I didn't like him. He was just sharp coming. And then that was 1996, sorry. Then 1997, Valentine's Day, he came to me and he said to me, oh, he had bought chicken in his house, that I should come and cook rice. And I looked at him and said, I'm also looking for who will cook rice for me. And of course, at the end of the day, that was the end of the relationship. And I recently saw him this year. I just saw him again this year. We met at the party. I was like, oh my goodness, do you remember? He was like, oh, you don't forget anything. I was like, yeah. So, but in terms of, you know, your mouth talking, yeah, indeed, there's so many things. There are so many prices that you have to pay in terms of your business, in terms of the things that you do. Even right now, for me particularly, but one of the things that I find that has really helped me in terms of my activism is that the first thing I focused on, I started at national activism at the age of 40. So the other ones, in terms of fighting for my rights and fighting of other people's rights within my this thing, I started much younger. But I didn't focus on national issue. I first of all focused on my issue, which was to be financially independent. Right. It was after I got that I now started focusing on other national issues. So I know I don't, for example, things that people take for granted, go to somebody's office, go and seek for what. No, I don't do any of that. I don't do this thing. Let me give you an example of, for example, when I talk about the cost. You know, during the NSAS protest, there was a meeting that I was dragged into. I didn't even know what that meeting was going to be about. Apparently, it was some Nigerian billionaires and the CBN governor. Aliko Dangote was there, Bua, some state, about 5 or 6 state governors, whatever. So they were looking for NSAS. How do you get to to stop the protests, for them to be able to blah, blah, blah. And I said to them, all you need to do is to do the right thing. You can't come and start saying, some people, they were like, oh, you know, Aisha is the one, the youth will listen to her. If she says something to them, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, I'm not going to say, we're not going to have an agreement. Just try to compromise somebody in a way. I left that meeting. By the time I came out of that meeting, I realized that somebody, because I'm a businesswoman, a lot of people forget that anyway, I'm a market woman. There was somebody, the chairman of BUA. I wanted to meet with him. I've asked somebody to get me his number. I wanted to start distributing for his company. And so I had asked him, he had already to get me the number, we were going to have a meeting. And when I came in, by the time I was in the meeting, I realized that he was there. And as soon as I came out of the meeting, I spent the morning. We did that meeting up to the quite early hours of the morning. And I sent a letter, a text to that particular person that was getting me here to say, I can't have a meeting with him anymore. Don't give me, how do I put it? There's no need. There's no need setting up a meeting between myself and him. This is what has happened. We're a place where I've been like sort of like compromised, and there's no how I'm going to go to him, because it is that what was the clash of conflict of interest is going to come. So because and the person who dragged me into that, because he just said to me, oh, we are having an NSAS meeting. Aisha, please, I would like you, at least want you to join. So I thought it was the NSAS protesters that were having a meeting. I didn't know it was these people that felt that their businesses were threatened that were having a meeting. And so, and I said, look, that business, and of course, that was the end of it, that business, whatever. And so that cost me a lot of money in terms of my business. I could no longer do business with this person because we had met. Even though the person was like, oh, no, but it doesn't matter. I said, no. Whatever you look at it, there's no how, there must be something. So these are some of the things that have actually, because, and there are quite a number of that I can't think of off my head, but despite the cost, right? You have a sense of fulfillment. You have a sense of self-worth. You have a sense of, value and integrity. So I don't see them as lost. If anything that my voice, by me speaking out, I'm going to lose it, wallahi, I would rather lose it. Because I always say to people, if you are not ready to lose it, then you've never had it in the first place. I see people who are doing things, for example, even in relationship, marital relationship, like, oh no, what if now? What if your husband? I said, Biko, if I'm not ready to lose my husband, then I've never had him in the first place. Am I going to be like, oh, this? No. You have to be a place where this thing, yes, if it's yours, it's going to come back. I'm not going to be all around trying to gag something because I feel that's being insecure anyway. And I'm not going to be that person. So anything that will lead to, because you have a voice, you're going to lose it, then it's not worth it. For example, like when I was getting married to my husband, I was already covering myself. I started covering myself in the 1992. Not many people liked it. My parents didn't like it. People around me didn't like it because it was like, why are you covering yourself? Oh, are you Izala and everything? And even when I met my husband, he was like, oh, why are you dressed like Hausa? I'm like, no, I'm not dressed like Hausa. I'm dressed like a Muslim. And then he was like, but I said to him, it's non-negotiable. This is who I am. And if you love me, you're going to accept me. Otherwise, no big deal. So it's all about anything that, because I've spoken, then I lose it, it's worth losing than me losing my voice. Because the day I lose my voice, it is actually the day I die. It's not the day that I can no longer breathe in oxygen or bring out carbon dioxide. It's when I can no longer speak against things that I should speak against because of one favor or the other. Nah, there's no favor worth that on this side.
Wow. I just seen, in your comment section. Can you see your comment section? There's 3 dots.
No, I can't. You are the one who can't.
Oh, you can't see the comment.
Okay.
No, it says comment. There's the three dots there, and it says copy link, right? Can you see it? 3 dots.
I only see something that's like
if you can't
like
see
an arrow.
Fine. It's just that. Oh, not the arrow. Like before the arrow, it says comment, right? Comment, and then there's 3 dots.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, in front of the comment.
Yeah, so it says comment, 3 dots, and then you can copy the link and paste it on Twitter if you want to. I think somebody's put something like that on there, or you can just go live on.
Okay. So let me reduce this volume.
Yeah.
And join here.
Yeah.
I see it says post.
Yeah.
Okay. What's this? Go ahead with your question.
Okay, yes. And more questions. Somebody asked the question about, leadership, in Nigeria. Now, have you tried to have a meeting with the leadership, team, to kind of guide them and see if you're able to kind of, influence how they're running the country?
So when it comes to in terms of having a meeting with leaders, so let me start first of all. In 2015, Buhari was voted in as president, and on my Twitter handle, I did a series of tweets which were directed to the incoming president, the things that you're supposed to do. And I remember one of those things that I kept hammering upon was that as soon as you're sworn into office, go to the southeastern part of the country, go to the southern part of the country, because that was where, there was still that agitation. They were more of pro Jonathan. And so come meet them and talk to them and be able to say that, look, we all are one, irrespective of the fact that you didn't vote for me, it's okay. We are here to build this Nigeria, and they use all of that. So these are some of the things I did. So sometimes when I see people say, oh, why you don't profile solution and everything, I'm like, please go back to all my tweets. I've been a lot of them that have done that. So that has been the case. And also there were a series of letters that I had written in terms of, I saw one recently, one of the first open letters that I wrote to the president that was supposed to be handed over to him. And then the person his advisor got cold feet. Sometimes they worship these people that are voted into office, and then I put it out as an open letter, and there are quite a number of them to say, look, we are here to hold you accountable. I'm not here to be one to be praising you and all of that. It's for you to know the things that have happened. And so there are also, you see, most of them, what normally happens, I remember there was a particular minister that we were all together, became ministers, and certain things weren't happening, and I sent to him the things that he wasn't doing. They actually formed a group with him, as in people who were friends, friends and colleagues or whatever, just formed a group. There was this group. And when he wasn't doing things right, I put them out there. And I think that he took an offense or something like that. And I felt, excuse me, because me and you, we know each other. The moment you're in public office, I forget that relationship. I'm going to hold you accountable for what you are not doing right. And so for a few of them that, yes, even for example, Bring Back Our Girls movement, we met with some of the profile solution, gave them things to be able to do, but no, they don't follow them. What they want is this hero worshiping and psychophancy, and I'm not ready to do that. I'm not anybody's psychopath. I'm going to relate to you as somebody who is in office. Most of the people who get into office, there are some of them that I do know that we had relationship with before they got into office and whatever. The first thing I say to you, ensure as soon as you go there that you're doing a great job. If you don't do a great job, I'm going to come after you. And that's it. And if I'm sending anything, it's where I'm not going to call you and say, hi, how are you? Forget it. When you are out of office, I will do that. But while you're in office, I'm not interested. But where I see certain things, I think you should do the right way, I will send it to you and say, these are the things that you need to do. But most times what they want, what they feel they want from people is that hero worshiping, psychophancy, being told they are doing the right thing when they're actually not doing the right thing. And my mouth is too big to be able to do that.
Thank you so much for that. I know a lot of people want you to go into, politics and things like that. They ask questions, and it's a recurring question over here. Why are you not into political position and things like that? And I don't know if you want to answer it.
I will answer that question. No, I will answer that question. I've seen a lot of people, even right from 2015, that have said to me, oh, we need you to run for political office. You need you to do this. I remember there was a time, even though those people, then, because I used to hold the then government accountable, they loved me. But after, when their own got into power and I was holding this government accountable, they didn't like me anymore. Where they were like, oh, can they put money together and so that I can run? For me, I am one person who I do things when I'm ready to. Because when I put myself into it, I'm ready to give up my life for it. So because of that, I'm not fickle with making those kind of decisions. For everybody that has been asked, I'm going to say, I've said it before, I'm going to be very straight again. I'm sorry, I am not going to run in the next years. I don't see, it might happen maybe one day, but definitely not in the close, maybe within the next, after 10 years from now, I might run, but definitely not now. If you see advocacy, no matter, I never said anything. I never joined. Even 1992 and 2012, probably I would have joined because I started thinking about Nigeria more of that moment. But I didn't join because of the fact that I wanted subsidy to be removed. So when Goodluck Ebele Jonathan removed, so I was like, oh, but finally, this president has done one thing. Unfortunately, they were not able to keep it. Even though people were all out on the street, it was the in. I don't do things because it's the in thing to do. I don't do things because everybody is doing. And everything that I've done, I do in my life, I prepare myself for it. As of this moment, one thing I can assure anybody of is that I would never, ever, ever accept appointment from anyone. Dr. Obieze Kwesili, she was a presidential candidate. I was in her campaign. And if she's running tomorrow, I'm going to be in her campaign. But the moment she gets into office, our anti relationship ends. I'm going to be holding her accountable. I'm not going to work in any of her government or whatever. Even she knows she can't even offer me any appointment. I'm not going to do that because I'm not ready to work for anybody. That's one. In terms of political position, I will not rule it out. It's possible, but I have to prepare myself for it. Where I am right now, I don't have the capacity to do a great job. And Nigeria does not need somebody that will learn on the job. I can learn on the job. I know the kind of person I am. I will gather a team and get people together. We'll get this girl. The passion is there, the whatever. I praise that. I have the courage. I don't mind matching. Whether you are who is who, I will match you. So after 4 years, don't vote for me, but I will know that within those 4 years, I will put things in place. I will be so good that 100 years from now, people will look and say, there was once a woman called Aisha Yesufu. God bless her. That for me would be, it's not people praising me today. But you know what? I am not prepared enough. I don't have the knowledge enough. I don't have the capacity enough. I don't have the competence enough. So I'm not doing it because I'm one person. I'm a passionate person. Anything I do, I do it 100% and I make sure I am prepared and ready to lead. That's why the moment I joined the advocacy, national advocacy, everybody heard my voice loud and clear. It's all been long. It's only 7 years that I started speaking up on Nigerian issue. But guess what? Everybody has heard me louder because I prepared. Yeah. And so when I came on, I knew that I was ready to go on and do it. So it's going to be the same thing again in terms of politics. So for now, the things that I'm going to, and I'm not at a place where I'm ready to serve Nigeria because leadership is about service, where you give up of yourself to listen. You see the way people will come at me, I can give back to you as a private citizen. I can't do that as a public servant. The way I can jump out of the country, I feel like I go and stay. I spent 1 year with my daughter when she got into university. She was 17 when she got into university, and I didn't want her to be alone. So I went off there got a 2-bedroom flat, sat with her and spent a year. I could do that as a private citizen, but as a public citizen, I would not be able to do that. So I'm not yet ready to sacrifice that. And for me, the next few years, what I want to do is to garner knowledge, gather a lot of learning. I have a lot of learning to do, and so I'm going to concentrate on that. By the time I get that learning alongside with this, and then I'll be able to say, yes, I am ready to serve. Because I don't want to serve and serve at 50%. No, 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 no. I want to get 1,000%.
Yes.
And when I'm serving, I want to know, yes, I understand the issue. I understand what it is all about. I can do it and I will get it done. Right now, I don't have that knowledge. And so for me, the most paramount thing is to begin to seek for that knowledge in terms of public policies, in terms of understanding economics, know what economy of a country is all about, economy of a state is all about, whatever it is. Those are the things that are pushing for that. So please, I'm sorry, but then I am interested in getting the right people into office, people with competence, character, capacity, people who are courageous, people who are patriotic, people who have empathy. I am interested, and that's part of the things I'm working on. I'm looking at, even if as Nigerians we need to set up a political party, I'm looking at that. But I will not be amongst those that will be running. Getting the people who already have what it takes to be able to get into office, because we need to get the right kind of people with the knowledge and everything mentality to serve into office.
Yes, fantastic, fantastic. I love that. Yes, I know. I'm enjoying this conversation. It's like I don't want it to end. I know. Yes, I've got this question I always ask everyone, and this is it. What do you want to be remembered for? What is your legacy?
Oh my goodness. What do I want to be remembered for? I want to be remembered for I'm not a serious person. I'm always like, I don't take life seriously. I'm always goofy. I was goofy, laughing. In short, I'm always dancing, going on. So when there's people see me and they think that I'm this serious person, I'm like, not at all.
You're my kind of woman. You're my kind of woman. Go on.
Yeah, absolutely. Have fun. You know, when you have that self-love, when you love yourself, you always feel good. So what I want to be remembered for, I want to be remembered as someone who people looked at and they realized that they didn't need permission to speak. I want to remember as someone who people saw and realized that they didn't need permission to be at the table, that they can bring in their own table, and where they do not have a table, they can bring their mats and their voices will be heard and their voices will be valid and they will be self-validated and they will have a say in the country. For me, as if I'm able to get that, amazing. I'll be a fulfilled human being, knowing fully well that at the end of the day, we're all able to come together and give to the generation unborn in Nigeria that is great, in Nigeria that is amongst the top 10, in Nigeria where our president will not go outside to go and seek for education, for healthcare services, in Nigeria where the child of nobody can become somebody without knowing anybody, in Nigeria where access to good quality education is not dependent on the economic status of one's parents, but that it's free and there for everyone, in Nigeria where everybody feels secure, in Nigeria where I go out with my green passport and people are respecting it, in Nigeria that is among the top 5 of 5 countries in this world, in Nigeria where when they hear about us, they don't see the color of our skin, they see the amount we have in our pocket, they see the wealth that comes from the nation, they see a nation that will always be there for us irrespective of what, in Nigeria where it doesn't matter what part of the country you are from or what religion you practice or what gender you have, but that everybody is respected and everybody has a right and we all have a Nigerian dream. In Nigeria that 100 years from now, they will remember that we lived and did something good. That's all I want. Don't make me start crying now.
Woman, I am proud to be a woman. I am proud to be a woman because you have shown me something. Even the way you are is giving me the energy to even show up even more. Wow. I'm speechless. I am speechless. I am speechless. I am honored. I am honored. Yes, it was more than inspirational. It's another level. When you were speaking, it was just, I was just feeling, even me, I was like, I don't know if I want to come to Nigeria again, all this thing. But when I'm hearing you
Yeah, I
speak,
understand.
I am,
Yeah,
you know
yeah, I
what? There
understand.
is
It's
hope.
sad.
There is
Yeah,
hope.
there is.
There is hope.
There
There
is.
is hope. Thank you so much,
Mhm.
Aisha. And I hope that
Thank
this is
you.
not going to be the end of our interaction, because I really enjoy talking to you. I appreciate you coming on here. Can we just give her a round of applause in the comment section? I just want to see applause, applause. Let's love her up. Let's love her up. Let her feel the love. Let her feel the love. Yes, thank you. Twali, like they
Thank
say,
you.
like they say, Twali mama. I don't know. I'm just trying to copy the streets.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So what I'm going to
When you have young adults and teenagers, you have to keep up with them. So you have to keep up with the street and what's happening. Thank you so much.
fantastic.
I've had an amazing time being here. Thank you.
So I'm going to save this live, and it's going to be on my page, so anyone could come and have a watch it later on. And also I'm going to kind of edit some bits and pieces, and I'll send it to you if you want to post it on your page, because it's
Yes,
quite a
yeah.
big
So just
file.
send me all your other handles, then
Yes.
I will tag you on them.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay. Fantastic. 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 Thank you very much, ma'am. And my love to your
Thank you
husband
so
for,
much for
yeah,
having me.
yeah, and everyone else. Thank
Honestly,
you.
thank you. My mind is there. I need to go and do it. We haven't seen since morning he left
Yes.
for
Go
work,
and
and
love
then
him
so we
up.
need a lot of things to do.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.